All right, good morning, pastoral counseling class. So I am doing a short video just to talk to you a little bit about your assignment that's due on, I believe, Friday. So you are working on genograms this week, and you have a discussion post for Unit 2. And so for your genogram, there's some just light reading from Murray Bowen, who's the creator of the genogram. There are many ways to do a genogram. So I've given you a handout in the info section of your Populi, so you can go and print that handout and do the reading. This talks about the clinical way that people do genograms in order to have a fancy family tree, if you will. The genogram helps us to trace patterns, helps us to trace different systems and things that has been going on in the family throughout the history of the family, as far back as the person that you're working with can tell you. It may identify stressors in relationships, addictions. It may identify maternal and paternal connections and who the individual was closer to as they developed and grew throughout the years. Who were they estranged from? So read the Murray Bowen just for greater understanding of why a genogram would be done and how it can be helpful in working with people as we move them closer to healing and feeling whole. One of the reasons why I've done genograms in the past is if there's complications in relationships, if there are drug abuse, if there is some generational stuff that's going on, then I'd like to get a whole family picture and see if there's any type of, like Christian world with the generational curses, if there's any type of connections, if there's any type of patterns that would cause the individual that I'm working with to be in the place that they are today, and to find ways that we can interrupt the pattern or ways that it has been interrupted in the past, and can we duplicate those types of scenarios so the person can get back to a balanced life. In your handout, there are many symbols that you can use to identify male, female, mother, father, sister, brother connections. And so if you look at your paper, 74 talks about the male circle, square, female, male symbols. Indexed person, the person is deceased. If they choose whatever type of presentation of life, woman, man, gay or lesbian, significant institutional connections, pets become parts of families. So read that through. There are different types of symbols that identify a separation or divorce or an extension of the family to like foster care, adoption, those types of things. On 75, it gives you an illustration of how that would look like from the first mother-father relationship to grandparents relationships, children relationships. So read that closely. As you read, it'll make more sense to you. And then I just went ahead and copied the conversations that you would have with an individual in order to flesh some of those things out. I posted on your site Genogram Pro or Geno Pro. That is just an online database that you can use to do a electronic genogram and submit that in the Populi. You can write this out by hand and just scan it and submit it into that discussion or to that assignment post. That's okay too. Let's see. The Gene Pro is only, you can use it for free for a 15-day trial if you choose to do that. This is not a complicated process. It's very simple. So don't complicate your genogram. Just make it very simple. Mother, father, siblings, connections. If the genogram is a new concept for you, don't wait to do this. To begin this project, it can be time consuming. So begin early and do a little bit at a time. And so the genogram must include a brief narrative. And so if you look at page 76 in your handout, it gives just a brief narrative of how they walk through the genogram, the things that they talked about to get to the particular connections of people. And you may be helpful to record your conversation as you're doing the genogram with the person that you're doing it with, and then dictate the conversation just for your brief narrative key, how you got to certain things. Now the key in the genogram, if you're using symbols that are not in here, if you make up a symbol, in your key, it should say square equals male, circle equals female, squiggly lines equal estranged relationship. If you use something outside of here, you want to add it in that key so I'll know what you're trying to depict in that genogram. So save it as a PDF, upload it into the Populi, and that should be your assignment that I believe is due on Friday. I'm thinking Friday in my head. With your discussion post, so a little note, little pause on your discussion post. So I realize many of you have not gotten your textbooks. It's okay for your textbooks to come a little bit later, but you will be behind on your reading. So each discussion post requires some evidence-based research or some scholarly research. Although you're astute scholars and you know a lot in your brain, this is a part of learning what you don't know. And so a part of learning what you don't know, which means you'd have to read something that you haven't read. And so I'm taxing you to find some scholarly data that supports your thoughts, that supports your premise for pastoral counseling. If it's not in the 4 books that we've signed, if it's not in the Bible, then go out to Google Scholar, go out to the New Hope library and look up the topic that you're talking about. If it's pastoral counseling, if it's nature versus nurture, if it's relationships, do some research, find an article. You can use journal articles for your scholarly research. I just want you out there searching something outside of what's in your brain. Our brains are limited. And so in order to stretch our capacity to learn and glean and gain greater understanding, we have to do some scholarly research. And so I'm taxing you to go out there and find some scholarly research and use it to your benefit to enhance the conversation that you're having with your peers. Your initial post should have at least 2, if you want full credit, it should have at least 2 scholarly research. If you are using APA for your writing, then you should say Brenner, 2000 Brenner, open parenthesis, 2003, close parenthesis, comma, stated, cited, posed, and complete that sentence. If you're using quotes, then you're putting the page number that you gleaned that quote from inside of those parentheses or inside of that cited in-text citation. And so I'm seeing a lot of quoting or giving me sources, but they're not cited in your paper. So find your APA book. If you haven't got an APA book, look it up online. Go out to the aisle, research, and figure out how to cite this stuff correctly for the in-text citation, and to cite your resources at the end. For your response post, at least one source should be used. I'm looking for more than just a great post that's interesting. This is how it affects my life and my situations and my problems. I want you to have some evidence-based scholarly research that supports that this is a viable thing to talk about, a viable thing to research. And I'm learning more through this vein. And I've also read this, and this guy over here said this, which supports my thought that this is true, or that this is real, or that this is important. And give me some examples as to why this is important. It should be a robust conversation. As we're becoming scholarly learners, we should invoke conversation and not just simply be advice givers in someone's life. We should be able to explore how they came to this part in their life and explore what other research has said about it to make our knowledge and our understanding greater. So I'm looking for that in that post if you're looking for complete credit. Now, your discussion post holds a lot of weight for passing this class. So that's important that you take time and that you do that type of research in order to glean and understand more from this course. Now, this course is an online course room. And so the more you put in is going to be the more that you get out of it. So I encourage you to go and do your work behind these things and get that work done. I believe you have a listening session coming up, which is a video. So look ahead for what's coming up the weeks ahead so you won't miss these deadlines. So God bless you. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a note in the Ask the Instructor question box, and I'll find things there. If for whatever reason you're missing some deadlines and you haven't posted your stuff ahead of time or haven't met the deadline for those things, send me a message and I can reopen it. You will lose points off of your grade for late post, but I will let you put some things in there. So good luck to you. I'm liking what I'm reading. You guys are very engaging and have a lot of things to say, which is awesome. So bless you, and I'll look forward to reading more of your information and seeing more of your posts out on the line. So happy Thursday. Blessings to you.